In the darkest hour, when the moon hung like a silver tear over the desolate lands of Kemet, Isis, the great goddess, found refuge in the deepest, most secluded heart of the Nile Delta. Her heart, still shattered from the brutal murder and dismemberment of her beloved husband, Osiris, pulsed with a fierce, protective rhythm. This wasn't merely a place of concealment. It was a sacred crucible, a womb of reeds and murmuring water, where new life, fraught with peril and promise, was about to emerge. There, amidst the rustling papyrus thickets and the gentle lapping of the sacred river, Isis gave birth to her son, Horus. He was a god-child, born with eyes like the piercing sun and hair the color of midnight, destined to avenge his father and reclaim the stolen throne. But for now, he was small and vulnerable, his divine essence cloaked by the shadows of the marsh, a secret whispered only to the loyal goddesses who attended his birth. The air was thick with ancient magic and the silent prayers of a mother, desperate to shield her precious son from the insidious gaze of Set, the usurper, the embodiment of chaos. The desolate marshlands of Chemmis became Horus's first kingdom, a sanctuary woven from the dense papyrus, whispering reeds and murky, life-filled waters. Here, away from the scorching sun of Set's desert domain and the watchful eyes of his malevolent spies, Isis nurtured her son. She was not alone in her vigil. Nephthys, Set's loyal but heartbroken wife, and the 7 scorpion goddesses, including Tephen and Petet, stood guard, their stings ready to protect the infant god from any encroaching danger. Isis, with her boundless magic, wove intricate spells of concealment around their hidden haven. The reeds themselves seemed to bend and shift, forming an impenetrable labyrinth for any who might seek to harm the divine child. The air was heavy with the scent of water lilies and the drone of insects, a deceptively peaceful setting for such a momentous upbringing. Horus, swaddled in soft linen, lay safe within his mother's arms, his tiny heart beating with the promise of a future Kemet, a future that lay hidden within the depths of the marsh, nurtured by love and shrouded in potent magic. Every moment of Horus's infancy was a testament to Isis's unwavering vigilance and boundless love. She was not only his mother but his protector, his teacher, and his shield against a world intent on his destruction. She sang lullabies imbued with ancient spells, telling tales of his father, Osiris, and the golden age of Kemet, imbuing him with a sense of his rightful heritage even before he could speak. Her magic wove itself into his very being, strengthening his divine essence, preparing him for the arduous path ahead. The marsh provided, but also presented its own dangers. Crocodiles lurked beneath the murky surface, venomous snakes slithered through the reeds, and the harsh desert elements could turn cruel without warning. Isis, with her formidable powers, deflected every threat, her eyes constantly scanning the horizon, her ears attuned to every rustle, every unnatural sound. Her love was a fortress, her magic an unbreakable shield. She knew that every day Horus survived, every breath he took, was a defiance against Set, a silent assertion of man in a world consumed by chaos. While Isis and Horus found refuge in the shadows, Set reigned on the earthly throne of Kemet, his tyranny casting a long, oppressive shadow over the land. He had seized power through deceit and murder, shattering the delicate balance of Mad that Osiris had so carefully cultivated. The fertile fields, though still yielding, seemed to groan under his harsh rule. The joyous festivals of Osiris's time were replaced by solemn, often fearful, rituals. Set, with his restless, chaotic energy, ruled through fear and brute force. His spies, often disguised as jackals or hyenas, roamed the land, seeking any sign of defiance, any whisper of a challenge to his illegitimate rule. Though unaware of Horus's precise location, Set's paranoid heart knew that a threat existed, a seed of rebellion sown by Isis. He constantly sought to consolidate his power, stamping out any lingering loyalty to Osiris, lest a legitimate heir rise to challenge him. The whispers of his cruel reign reached even the deepest parts of the Delta. a constant, chilling reminder of the justice that still awaited its champion. As Horus grew, the marsh became his classroom, the rustling reeds his silent companions, and the moon his vigilant guide. Isis, alongside the ever-faithful Nephthys, began his rigorous training. He learned to move silently through the dense papyrus, to navigate the winding channels of the delta, and to understand the language of the creatures that dwelled within. But his most profound lessons were in the ancient arts of magic, the very fabric of existence. Isis, with her deep knowledge of all spells, taught him to draw power from the earth and sky, to command the subtle energies that flowed through Kemet. Under the silvery glow of the moon, she unveiled the secrets of healing, protection, and illusion, preparing his young mind for the trials to come. He learned to identify the venomous plants and the healing herbs, to speak the incantations that could calm a storm or raise a shield. His divine essence, once merely a spark, now began to glow, his eyes reflecting the deep wisdom his mother imparted, even as his small hands learned to shape magic with growing skill. The rigorous magical training of Horus was not solely the work of his mother. As Horus transitioned from infancy to childhood, the wise Thoth, scribe of the gods and master of all knowledge, began to visit their hidden sanctuary. He would arrive silently, his ibis head silhouetted against the dawn sky, bringing with him scrolls of ancient lore, lessons in strategy, and the profound wisdom of cosmic order. Thoth taught Horus the precise names of the constellations, the movements of the planets, and the intricate calculations that govern the flow of time. He delved into the philosophy of man, explaining the delicate balance of justice, truth, and reciprocity that Osiris had upheld, and that Horus was destined to restore. He instructed Horus in the art of eloquent speech, of persuasion, and the power of the written word skills that would be as crucial as any spell in the upcoming contention. Under Thoth's tutelage, Horus's mind sharpened, his understanding of the universe deepened, and his resolve to avenge his father grew into an unshakable conviction. Beyond the rigorous lessons of magic and wisdom, Horus also received the gentle, nurturing care of Hathor, the golden goddess of love, joy, and motherhood. Though not his birth mother, Hathor, whose heart was as boundless as the heavens, often visited the marshland sanctuary, bringing solace and warmth to the child destined for such a difficult path. She would sing to him, her voice like the sweetest melody, filling the air with harmony and light. Hathor's presence provided Horus with a vital balance, a counterpoint to the intensity of his training and the ever-present threat of Set. She taught him the importance of compassion, the strength found in joy, and the beauty of life, reminding him that kingship was not merely about power, but about nurturing and protecting his people. Her touch was a balm, her smile a ray of sunshine in their hidden world. She instilled in him a love for beauty and harmony, ensuring that his future reign would embody not just justice, but also the vibrant, life-affirming spirit of Kemet, a spirit that Osiris himself had cherished. Despite the protective magic of Isis and the watchful eyes of their allies, the shadow of Set's tyranny stretched long and dark, occasionally reaching even into the marshlands of Chemmis. Set, though unaware of Horus's exact location, grew increasingly paranoid about the prophecy of a rightful heir. His spies, often in the guise of animals or disguised mortals, would sometimes approach the edges of the sanctuary, their malevolent presence a chilling reminder of the danger that constantly lurked. Isis, with her heightened senses, would always detect their approach. She would gather Horus close, her magic flaring, shrouding them in deeper concealment, redirecting the intruders with illusions or subtle shifts in the landscape. Though these encounters were fleeting, they served as constant reminders of the war that was brewing, the inevitable clash between order and chaos. Horus, though young, felt the tension in his mother's embrace, glimpsed the fleeting shadows of danger, and understood, even in his hidden youth, the immense burden of his destiny and the ever-present threat of his formidable uncle. Even the most potent magic has its limits, and vigilance, however profound, can sometimes be tested by fate. One evening, as Isis ventured out to gather herbs, leaving Horus under the temporary care of a mortal woman who was unaware of his divine nature, disaster struck. The scorpion goddesses, usually his protectors, were also away on a mission for Isis. One of the scorpions, distraught and confused by a local quarrel, became enraged and, slipping past the protective wards, found Horus sleeping peacefully in his cradle. Its venomous sting pierced the young god's flesh. Horus cried out, a sound of agony that echoed through the marsh. His small body convulsed, his divine light flickered, and his skin turned pale, almost translucent. The poison, though meant for mortals, began to assail his young, developing divine essence. Isis, alerted by his agonizing cry, rushed back, her heart seizing with terror. She found him lifeless, his breath shallow, his body consumed by the venom. Despair, cold and sharp, pierced her very soul, threatening to unravel her resolve. Isis, clutching her seemingly lifeless son, let out a wail of despair that tore through the heavens. The gods, hearing her anguish, paused in their celestial duties, their hearts filled with sorrow. Ra, in his solar bark, halted his journey across the sky. Thoth, his voice resonant with concern, rushed to her aid. "Fear not, great Isis," he declared, "for divine essence can overcome mortal venom, but quick action is needed." Isis, channeling her deepest magic, began to weave a powerful counterspell. She called upon the very forces of creation, upon the wisdom of Ra, upon the ancient names of healing. With Thoth guiding her incantations, she focused her immense power, drawing the venom from Horus's body, transmuting it into harmless energy. Slowly, miraculously, color returned to Horus's cheeks, his breath deepened, and his divine light, though still faint, began to glow once more. He awoke, weak but alive, a testament to his mother's boundless love and formidable magic. This near-death experience, a direct result of Set's chaotic influence, taught Isis that even in their hidden sanctuary, danger would always find a way, and that Horus's path would be fraught with relentless peril. As Horus grew stronger, his training intensified. He learned to wield the boomerang and the spear, to master the bow, and to fight with the agility and ferocity of the falcon that symbolized his spirit. Set, meanwhile, though thwarted in his direct attempts, continued his relentless hunt, his spies growing bolder, his magical assaults more insidious. He sent beasts of the wilderness, monstrous crocodiles with scales like ancient shields, massive hippopotami with jaws that could crush stone, and venomous serpents imbued with dark magic to stalk the marsh, hoping to eliminate the hidden heir. Each attack was a harrowing ordeal. Isis, with her formidable magic, would often deflect these beasts, turning their fury against themselves or binding them with powerful spells. Horus, as he matured, began to participate in these defenses, his young god strength growing with each confrontation. He learned to face fear, to stand firm in the face of overwhelming odds, and to understand the brutal, untamed nature of his uncle's chaos. These skirmishes were not merely battles for survival. They were lessons in war, forging the young god into the formidable champion Kemet would eventually need, sharpening his resolve to face Set on his own terms. Despite Horus's growing strength and Isis's unwavering vigilance, the constant threat of Set's machinations began to take its toll. The marsh, once a sanctuary, now felt like a gilded cage. Every rustle of the reeds, every shadow in the water brought a fresh wave of anxiety. Isis realized that hiding Horus indefinitely was not a sustainable solution. His destiny was not to live in perpetual concealment, but to confront chaos, to reclaim his birthright, and to restore Mad to Kemet. Her heart heavy with the weight of this decision, Isis appealed to the great Ennead, the council of the most powerful gods led by Ra himself. "O great Ra, father of gods and men," she pleaded, her voice ringing with the anguish of a mother and the authority of a goddess. "My son Horus, legitimate heir to Osiris, lives in constant peril. Set, the usurper, reigns in tyranny, shattering the balance you established. Justice demands a reckoning, a divine tribunal to settle this contention and restore rightful order to Kemet." Her plea, born of desperate love and a profound understanding of cosmic justice, resonated through the heavens, reaching the ears of the distant, watchful gods, setting the stage for the ultimate confrontation. Isis's impassioned plea stirred the celestial realms. The great Ennead, the council of the supreme gods, recognized the urgent necessity of her call. The long-simmering conflict between Horus and Set, representing the eternal struggle between order and chaos, could no longer be ignored. The very fabric of Mad, the cosmic principle of truth, justice, and balance, demanded resolution. Ra, the sun god, though ancient and weary, acknowledged his duty to preside over such a momentous dispute. A sacred summons was issued, resounding across the heavens and echoing through the Duat. All the great gods, Shu, Tefnut, Geb, Nut, Osiris from his throne in the underworld, Thoth, Hathor, Nephthys, and many others were called to assemble. This would not be a battle of brute force, but a trial of legitimacy, cunning, and divine will, judged by the highest authority. The fate of Kemet, and indeed the future of Mad itself, hung in the balance as the divine summons reached both Horus, now a formidable young god, and Set, the tyrannical usurper. The Divine Tribunal convened in the Great Hall of Truth, a majestic chamber bathed in ethereal light, where the very air shimmered with Mad. At its center stood a grand dais, upon which rested the feather of Mad, luminous and unwavering, symbolizing the ultimate standard of justice. Ra, in his brilliant solar bark, presided from above, his ancient gaze encompassing all. Beside him sat Shu and Tefnut, Geb and Nut, while Thoth, with his stylus and papyrus, stood ready to meticulously record every word, every argument, every divine decree. Horus, now a towering figure with the fierce head of a falcon, his eyes burning with righteous determination, stood before the council. His mother, Isis, majestic and resolute, stood beside him, her magic a silent aura of support. Opposite them stood Set, magnificent in his chaotic might, his beastly head bristling with arrogance, his eyes gleaming with malicious cunning. The tension in the hall was palpable, a clash of destinies, a battle of wills that would redefine the very nature of kingship and cosmic order. The trial began with Ra's solemn declaration. "We are gathered here today to settle the contention for the throne of Kemet, a dispute that has fractured Mad and plunged the land into disarray. Let both contenders present their claims, and let truth and justice be our guides." Set, always bold and boisterous, was the first to speak. His voice boomed through the hall, full of his characteristic arrogance. "I, Set, am the strongest among you. Was it not I who defended Ra from the serpent Apophis each night? Have I not reigned with strength, albeit a firm hand? Horus is but a child, born in the shadows, unproven, unworthy. I am the elder brother of Osiris, and I deserve the throne." He recounted his supposed glories, twisted his atrocities into acts of strength, and mocked Horus's hidden upbringing. Horus, guided by Isis and Thoth, responded with calm dignity. "I am Horus, son of Osiris, legitimate heir to the throne of Kemet. My father, the beloved king, was brutally murdered by Set, and the throne usurped through treachery. I was born to avenge him and to restore Mad. My claim is based on divine right, justice, and the restoration of the sacred order. His voice, though younger, carried the weight of truth, speaking not of strength but of righteousness, of the cosmic balance that had been so grievously disturbed. The battle of words had begun, a prelude to the tests of magic, and will that lay ahead. The arguments raged for many days, with Ra often leaning towards Set, swayed by the sheer force of his power, and his role in protecting the sun god from Apophis. The other gods were divided, some fearing Set's strength, others advocating for Horus's just cause. Thoth, ever the mediator, proposed a series of contests, not of brute force but of skill and cunning, to prove the worthiness of each contender. The first challenge was a race in boats, but not ordinary boats. Horus and Set were to construct vessels entirely of stone and race them across the celestial waters. Set, confident in his strength, carved a magnificent boat from granite, believing its weight would grant him speed. Horus, however, remembered the lessons of Thoth, understanding the nature of perception and hidden power. He crafted his boat not from stone, but from pine wood, cleverly disguised it with a plaster coating to resemble granite, and then imbued it with powerful illusionary magic. At the signal, Set's heavy boat sank instantly, while Horus's lighter, enchanted vessel skimmed across the water, a testament to wisdom over brute strength. Set roared in fury, but the first victory belonged to Horus, a clear demonstration that ingenuity could overcome raw power. Enraged by his defeat, Set demanded another challenge, one of direct combat. The gods, seeking a decisive outcome, agreed. The next trial would take place in the celestial waters, where both Horus and Set were to transform into hippopotami and engage in a duel beneath the surface. The one who could hold their breath longest, enduring the crushing pressure and the other's attacks, would gain a point. The two gods plunged into the shimmering cosmic lake, their forms morphing into colossal hippopotami, their roars echoing through the heavens. The water churned and boiled as they clashed, their massive bodies colliding, their tusks ripping at each other's hide. The battle was fierce and prolonged, a primal struggle for dominance. Isis, watching from the shore, her heart pounding with fear for her son, knew that brute strength alone might not suffice against Set's raw ferocity. Her magical senses stretched, seeking a moment to intervene, to tilt the scales in her son's favor, for the fate of Kemet rested on Horus's survival. As the titanic struggle raged beneath the celestial waters, Isis's worry became unbearable. Set, though older and larger, fought with a savage, untamed fury, his attacks relentless. Horus, while valiant, was still younger and less experienced in such raw combat. Isis knew she had to act. With a swift and silent incantation, she fashioned a magical harpoon, its tip imbued with spells of binding and pacification. Taking aim, she hurled it into the swirling depths. The harpoon struck Set, piercing his hide and causing him to cry out in pain, forcing him to surface prematurely. Horus, seizing the advantage, quickly rose as well, claiming victory in the contest. But Isis's intervention sparked a furious outburst from Horus. "Mother, how could you interfere? This was my battle. You have dishonored me by striking my opponent." His anger, fueled by youthful pride and a desire to prove himself, was swift and hot. Isis, though understanding his frustration, knew she had made the only choice she could. Her love for him, her determination to see him survive, outweighed any momentary displeasure. Horus, in his anger, turned his wrath upon his mother. He seized the magical harpoon and, in a fit of pique, severed Isis's head from her body. The gods gasped in horror, a collective cry of disbelief echoing through the celestial hall. Horus, shocked by his own impulsive act, instantly regretted it, his rage quickly replaced by profound remorse. Thoth, with his swift magic, quickly reattached Isis's head, transforming it momentarily into that of a cow to symbolize her enduring, nurturing spirit. Ra, witnessing this display of uncontrolled emotion, grew increasingly displeased with Horus, seeing a dangerous recklessness in the young god. He was close to dismissing Horus's claim entirely, swayed by Set's constant accusations of immaturity and unworthiness. The trial seemed to falter, the balance of Ma'at teetering once more. But then, a soft, ethereal voice resonated through the hall, a voice from the Jewett itself. Ra, remember the justice that underpins all creation. Remember my legacy and the order I established. Horus is my blood, my rightful heir. Do not let one moment of youthful folly eclipse a lifetime of truth. It was the voice of Osiris, speaking from his eternal throne, a silent plea for his son's true destiny to be recognized. Despite Osiris's intervention, Ra remained conflicted. Set, emboldened by Horus's outburst and Ra's wavering judgment, seized the opportunity to mock his nephew further. He challenged Horus to a final, ludicrous test, one designed to humiliate and discredit him. Set proposed that they both be chained to the bottom of the celestial ocean, transforming into mighty pillars of stone, and the one who could withstand the pressure and the passage of time longest, without cracking, would be declared the victor. Horus, though weary, accepted the challenge, his pride stinging from the earlier reprimand. They plunged into the abyss, their divine forms stretched to their limits by the immense pressure. Set, fueled by his chaotic nature, found a perverse joy in the struggle, enduring with grim determination. But the contest was long and grueling, stretching for weeks in divine time. Meanwhile, on the surface, Set continued his relentless mockery, spreading rumors among the lesser gods, claiming Horus was weak, pathetic, unable to withstand the simplest trials. The very legitimacy of the throne, and the concept of rightful succession, seemed to hang by a thread, threatened by Set's relentless malevolence and Ra's indecision. As the gods debated and deliberated, with Ra still undecided after the prolonged trials and Set's incessant taunts, the balance of Ma'at itself seemed to tremble. The very purpose of the tribunal to restore order was being undermined by indecision. It was then that Thoth, the ever-wise scribe, knowing that a higher authority was needed, turned to Ra. "Great Ra," he spoke, his voice clear and resonant, "if we cannot find consensus here, let us seek guidance from the ultimate arbiter of truth and justice in the afterlife. Let us appeal to Osiris, Lord of the Jewett, for his divine counsel." Ra, acknowledging the gravity of the situation and the authority of Osiris in matters of justice, agreed. Thoth, with a powerful incantation, opened a portal to the Jewett, allowing Osiris's spirit to communicate with the assembled gods. Osiris's voice, solemn and resonant, echoed through the Hall of Truth, not in anger but in profound wisdom. "Remember, Ra, that I, Osiris, am the first to have been king on earth. My son Horus is my rightful heir, born to continue my legacy of Ma'at. If justice is not upheld for my son, then no god will find peace in my realm. I, the Lord of the dead, will hold all your hearts accountable." His words, imbued with the authority of the underworld, were a stark reminder of the cosmic consequences of injustice. Osiris's oracle from the Jewett proved to be the decisive turning point. Ra, deeply moved by the solemn warning of the Lord of the dead, and recognizing the profound implications for the cosmic order, finally made his decision. He saw not just Horus's youthful folly, but his unwavering determination, his legitimate birthright, and the deep love and wisdom instilled in him by Isis and Thoth. He saw that Set, despite his strength, embodied chaos and malice, and his rule would forever destabilize Kemet. With a deep sigh that echoed through the celestial hall, Ra raised his hand, commanding silence. "The judgment is rendered," he proclaimed, his voice now firm and unwavering. "By the sacred laws of Mad, by the decree of Osiris, the Lord of the Duat, and by my own ultimate authority, I declare Horus, son of Osiris, the rightful heir to the throne of Kemet. He shall reign in justice, upholding the balance and wisdom of his father." A gasp of relief swept through the good gods, while Set roared in furious, impotent rage. The long contention had finally reached its righteous conclusion. With Ra's ultimate judgment pronounced, the great Ennead prepared for the sacred investiture of Horus. In a grand ceremony, bathed in the golden light of Ra's approving gaze, Horus was formally crowned king of Kemet. Isis, her heart overflowing with pride and relief, placed the double crown of Upper and Lower Egypt upon his falcon head, symbolizing his dominion over the united lands. Thoth presented him with the staff of kingship, imbued with ancient wisdom, and the Ankh, the symbol of life, representing his eternal reign. Horus, now a king worthy of his lineage, ascended the earthly throne that had once belonged to his father. His eyes, once burning with the desire for vengeance, now shone with the serene wisdom of Mad, promising a reign of justice, prosperity, and peace. He accepted the heavy mantle of leadership, understanding the profound responsibility that came with it. The spirit of Osiris from his throne in the Duat watched with a silent, approving smile, his legacy finally secured through his valiant son. The era of chaos had ended. The age of true kingship had begun. Set, banished from the Hall of Truth and stripped of his claim, was cast out of Kemet. His fury knew no bounds, but his power, now lacking divine sanction, was diminished. He was driven into the desolate red deserts, the wild, untamed lands that had always been his domain, but now served as his eternal prison. Though he would forever represent the forces of chaos and storm, his capacity to directly threaten the ordered world was curtailed. He would continue his nightly battle against Apophis, the serpent of chaos in Ra's solar bark, but his tyrannical rule over Kemet was decisively over. With Set's expulsion, Mad was fully restored to Kemet. The fertile lands rejoiced under Horus's reign, the Nile flowed abundantly, and the people, liberated from Set's tyranny, once again thrived in peace and prosperity. Horus, guided by the wisdom of Isis and Thoth, ruled justly, embodying the virtues of his father Osiris. The temples, once neglected, now echoed with hymns of praise for Horus, the Avenger, the King, the bringer of order and light. The long, arduous contention had finally concluded, affirming the sacred principles of legitimate kingship and the ultimate triumph of justice over chaos. The story of Horus's childhood and the great contendings became a foundational myth of ancient Kemet, etched into the very stones of temples and whispered by priests and priestesses for millennia. It taught generations about the sanctity of legitimate succession, the enduring power of a mother's love, the triumph of justice, and the eternal struggle between order Mad and chaos Isfit. Horus, the Falcon King, became the embodiment of the living pharaoh, a direct link to the divine lineage of Osiris. His eye, the eye of Horus Ujat, became a powerful symbol of protection, healing, and vigilance, a constant reminder of the god who suffered loss but ultimately prevailed. The Jed pillar, representing Osiris's stability, and the Ankh, representing life, took on renewed significance under Horus's reign. The entire cosmos, from the journey of Ra's son Bark to the judgment in Osiris's Duat, now functioned with a restored harmony, a testament to the fact that even the gravest injustices could be overcome, and that true power lay not in brute force, but in righteousness, wisdom, and the unwavering pursuit of Mad. The legacy of this epic contention ensured that the balance of Kemet would endure, eternally guarded by the Falcon King. The sands of Kemet continue to shift, and the great Nile flows, a timeless witness to the epic sagas of gods and men. The story of Horus, born in the shadows, nurtured by love and wisdom, and forged in the fires of adversity, remains a powerful testament to the triumph of justice and legitimate kingship. His ascent to the throne, not through brute force but through the divine tribunal of Mad, solidified the cosmic order and established the enduring principles by which all pharaohs would rule. From the Jewett, Osiris, the benevolent lord of the underworld, continues his eternal judgment, ensuring that Mad ultimately prevails for every soul. And in the heavens, Ra, the ancient sun god, illuminates the world, his journey a daily reminder of the cycle of life, death, and rebirth, now overseen by a stable, just order. The contentious years, the bitter battles, the desperate sacrifices, all converge to weave a tapestry of divine justice, proving that even against the most formidable forces of chaos, the unwavering pursuit of truth, fairness, and the rightful order will always find its ultimate victory, forever maintaining the delicate, sacred balance of Mad across all realms of existence.